Hello, I'm the tax guardian. This is part one of what Jesus taught about taxes. I'm going to go to Matthew. That's chapter 9, verse 9. And it says, "And there Jesus saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipts of customs, and he said unto him, Follow me." Now Matthew here is a tax collector. He's a Jew working for the Roman government. You can see on this desk in front of him here, table, there are two sheets of paper here, one on the right, one on the left. There's an inkwell here and a pen. That means that a records that he was keeping or declarations that he was making were partly honest and partly dishonest. Now this box right here is for the tax receipts. Now in his left hand here he has a bag of coins, which means after he collected the set amount, he could keep the excess for himself. Now this was an incentive for him to overtax. Now this wall of stones back here are the Roman tax laws. It's not square, fair, it's oblong, rectangular, which means these taxes were an excessive burden on the working man. Now this man standing here on the other side of the wall is a Roman soldier. You can see his sword at his side here, and he's wearing body armor, those leather strips around his waist here. Now if you didn't pay your taxes, Matthew here would report you to the Roman authorities. Now you see this building right here? That represents the lower law and the higher law. Now this man right here, see there's a man here in an arch. That means that man physically is subject to the lower law or the law of Rome. Now this rectangular window here represents particularly these Roman taxes. Now, you see the Roman soldier here? He has his arms crossed in the sign of the law. He enforces the lower law with the sword. But he doesn't enforce the higher law, the law of the Torah, or Moses, sometimes called the Jewish law. Now in verse 1, that's chapter 9, it says that Jesus boarded a ship for his home. So this right here is the Sea of Galilee. This is the ship that he took, sailboat. Now, so there, where this takes place right here, is Capernaum. That's where Jesus lived at the time. Now you can see the left hand of Jesus right here on the table. He's saying, that means that he's telling Matthew here that some of the things that you're doing are wrong. Now his right hand says right here, he says, but these tax principles of mine here, of the higher spirit of mine, are right. Now, what are the right principles of taxation of Jesus? For that I'm going to go to first to Matthew chapter 22, verses 15 to 22. It says that there was a group of Pharisees and Herodians that came to Jesus and said, "Tell us, is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not?" And he asked them, whose face and title is on this coin? They said to him, "Caesar's." Then he said unto them, "Render therefore unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are of God's." Now you see this light over the head of Jesus here? There's a man in the background in the dark here, between these two pillars. Next to him is a face that is illuminated. In other words, the words of Jesus here was to bring man out of darkness into the light concerning these two principles of taxation. Now these columns or pillars here are divided into square blocks, representing the laws of religion, the laws of government. They're separate here and they're different. Now the high priest here believed that it was unlawful for Jews to pay taxes to Rome, a pagan nation. Whereas the Herodian here, a supporter of Herod, believed it was lawful. Now these other men here represent different opinions or questions. Is this a civil tax? A temple tax? Is it voluntary or involuntary? Now, Rome ruled Palestine at the time of Jesus. Therefore, paying this tax is mandatory. You could refuse, but your property would be confiscated and or imprisoned. But the laws of the Torah or Moses were not the law of the land. You practiced those based on your religious beliefs. They were not mandatory. Next I want to go to Matthew chapter 17 verses 24 to 27. And it says, when they were come to Capernaum, they that received the tribute money came to Peter and said, "Does your master pay tribute?" And he said, "Yes." Afterwards, when they went inside Peter's house, Jesus said to him, "What do you think? Do you think the kings of the earth tax their children or strangers?" And Peter answered, "Strangers." Now that word can also be translated foreigners. In other words, he thought the tax was discriminatory, in private. Jesus said, "Put that aside. Go to the sea, cast in a hook, and the first fish you catch, open the mouth, and you shall find a coin. Take that and pay the tax for me and you." Now what does that mean? Well, Peter was a fisherman. The coin falling from the fish's mouth here is his income from his employment or profit from his trade or business. Now you see this line right here? That's the principle of taxation of Jesus. You pay a tax on your income from your employment or profit from your trade. Now you see this large stone here behind Peter? That principle of taxation is fixed in place. Now there's two large rocks here behind, representing that principle of taxation is both human and divine. Now I don't have time to complete this in 15 minutes, so I will in part 2.